What a day of football. We were treated with some great football yesterday, and today we had the epic clash between Liverpool and Man City, a rivalry that has pretty much lasted the better part of a decade, and now there's been a new chapter. Liverpool seem to be in the driving seat, guys. We're going to be covering all that went on versus Liverpool and Man City, a game that had some of the highest stakes as early on in the season that you can imagine, and Liverpool ran out 2-0 winners and deserved 2-0 winners. If I'm being honest, Man City weren't there. They were there for the taking. Looked lifeless, looked sluggish, looked lazy. Some would say old. In parts, I would agree, definitely. Obviously, we're missing a number of key players, and we'll get into all of the details. First off, as we normally do, we'll cover the lineups very, very quickly. And I would say it's very standard from a Liverpool standpoint. They have kind of operated in this way for a large part of the season. We've seen Diaz operate more up front. We've also seen Gakpo come into the team a lot more. That midfield three of Gravenberch, McAllister and Szoboszlai has been pretty much solid. Normally you would see Curtis Jones potentially come in for Szoboszlai, but it's normally chop and change one or the other. The back four, fairly consistent. Obviously Konate with the injury, he's said to miss around 4 to 5 weeks. Big blow, but Joe Gomez, if you want anyone to step in, it's probably a Joe Gomez, someone who can play centre-back, left-back, right-back, knows the system well, is happy to be called upon, and normally does a pretty good performance and was close to, being featured in the England team. He was one of the candidates for sure, but yeah, I think from a Liverpool standpoint, they'll be very happy with their team. Kelleher, who's come in for Alisson, has been spectacular, continues to hold it down in that position, and today he was probably as less threatened or least threatened as you could imagine. Man City, on the other hand, we know the injuries to Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne, plus many others, as we do know. Haaland was there still, Foden was there, Rico Lewis was there, Nunez, Gundogan, Silva, Walker, who was probably a bit of a suspect coming into the game, Diaz, Akanji, Ake, and Ortega, who came in for Ederson as well. So Man City definitely didn't have their strongest team, but a team that should nonetheless put up a pretty good fight, and I don't think they actually did that. We'll look into the stats for the game very, very briefly. In terms of possession, Man City had more of the ball, couldn't do anything with that. Look at Liverpool's expected goals, nearly 3.5. They had the most amount of domination, 18 shots, 7 on target, 5 big chances. It could have been even more. Big chances missed, 3 for Liverpool, 1 for Man City. And yeah, it was more corners for Liverpool as well. But just in general, the dominance was stark. And it hasn't been like that for a long time. Yes, Man City have struggled at Anfield, but to this degree, without putting up a fight, 2 shots on target for the whole game, not great viewing at all. And you could see at the end of the game, Pep getting a little bit triggered, with the reminder to the Liverpool fans who were saying that you're going to get sacked in the morning, showing them that he's won 6, he's done it. He's in a time where Liverpool were their main competitors, he's done it. But that's before, and we're talking about the here and now, and Liverpool under Arne Slot are looking very, very good. 9 points clear at the top of the table. Early to say, but the pressure is on. They look like the best team in the league at the moment. They need to continue to show that. The only thing that will determine if they don't win the league is themselves, if we're being honest with you. Liverpool look good. They look to be strong. Can they strengthen even more in January? Can they keep up this form? They were able to get past the Man City. They've got 2 important games coming up, one against Everton, one against Newcastle away. If they get through those 2 games, it's another tick in the book. This could be their season. There's rumours around Mo Salah. There's rumours around the future of some of the older players. If they can finish off and cap off with a title victory, that will be a great signing off for them. Klopp might have not got what he would have expected or wanted in his last season, but those players might just get that. It's too early to say, in my opinion. There's a lot of football to be played, but Liverpool are looking really, really good. City, on the other hand, to go back to the drawing board, I'm not going to say this season is a wash already, but they've got a bit of a climb. 11-point gap between Man City and Liverpool at this stage. Arsenal are the closest competitors with Chelsea to Liverpool. Again, a lot of football to be played. Don't get it twisted at all. 25 games to be played. 25 games. We're not even halfway through the season. There's a lot that can change. But listen, Liverpool have put themselves in a very, very strong position. If they were to lose the lead from here, it wouldn't be, the most disastrous thing in the world. But as a Liverpool fan, I can assure you they'd be very, very disappointed. This is how you want to start a Premier League season. 11 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. Now can they take it even further? Now can they continue this? Can they make it 13 wins in the next couple of games? It's going to be very interesting to see. Looking back to the key elements of the game, as we mentioned, Liverpool's dominance was throughout. Man City had bells, if you want to call it that. They had the ball. They didn't really do anything or look threatening with it. Key players I want to call out from both teams. One, Andy Robertson. I gave him a lot of doubt in terms of how he would perform in this game. I don't think he had the biggest threat. I don't think even this is the best depiction of how Man City probably really set up, but that they offered nothing from an attacking phase. But Robertson has to do his job. He did. I've got to give him props for that. Gakpo on the end of that, brilliant cross by Mohamed Salah. Amazing Salah. What do you want me to say? The guy's a genius. We've been blessed with him in the Premier League, and if he continues to remain, listen, it's for the benefit of Liverpool for sure. Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai, give their hats off to them. Ran the midfield. Essentially, Man City looked lost. Gundogan and Silva looked overpowered in the midfield. Foden was non-existent, very, very poor. These performances this season are less than desirable. I would have even started the game with a Doku or Savinho. I'm not sure why it took Pep that long to get in some firepower. It looked too stagnant, too slow. Diaz and Akanji, nah, not really. To be honest, the whole back four I wasn't overly impressed with. They were looking to survive rather than to thrive, rather than to take control, and that was the most disappointing thing about this game. We're going to move on quickly to the Chelsea versus Aston Villa game. Two teams who have been more in the ascendancy. Aston Villa have had a recent dip in form, unfortunately for them, but Chelsea, yeah, they're looking good. They're looking good, and I have no problem saying that because I predicted them to be a little bit lower this season in the beginning of the season. I didn't have the highest expectations for Chelsea. Too many players. Did they have a clear identity? Maresca's, kind of shutting me up week by week, and it's very impressive. Firstly, I've got to shout out my boy Nicholas Jackson. Yeah, I've got a lot of time for Nicholas Jackson because he's got an archetype, he's got a way of playing that I think benefits the modern game. He's tall, he's fast, he's relatively strong, he can dribble with the ball, he can link up to a decent level. Only thing that kind of gets him is his inaccuracy with his finishing and putting himself in a position to finish without having to make too many decisions. But outside of that, the boy is good, and he's been really good this season. And Chelsea have got a striker that they can depend on to a degree. Probably need to get someone who can partner him, who can replace him when he's not performing to the best of his ability. But Nicholas Jackson is a striker who can. He's on course to getting 15, 16, 17 goals this season, maybe a more if he continues on this form. Great to see. Enzo Fernandez with another goal backing up some really strong performances. But the goal from Cole Palmer, absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Called it into the back of the net. Aston Villa had nothing. They offered nothing in the game. Very similar to Man City. Probably to a worse degree, if I'm being honest with you. Chelsea were in complete dominance. Aston Villa didn't look like they had anything the whole game. And yeah, hats off to them. Chelsea are on the same points as Arsenal, same gap between them and Liverpool. They should be looking for the top four as a minimum now. There should be no excuse for them as a team. They've established themselves early on. They have a way of playing. They know the changes that they like to make in the teams. If Neto's not playing, Madueke might come in. If Sanchez not playing, they're going to make a change there. Very established in how they want to play and who they want to play, which is where I had my doubts coming into the season. So big hats off to Chelsea. Next matchup, Man United with Amorim versus Everton. And this is a game that they should have won, and they did. 4-0. Rashford with a double, Xerxes with a double. This is the kind of performance Man United fans want to be seeing. Essentially, dominate the ball, get the ball into the back of the net. And that's what they did. Rashford back on form. It's good to see under Amorim. I think this is like his third or fourth goal. If I'm not mistaken, he's found his form. He's been put in positions with this front three, and we'll look into how Man United are setting up, obviously with the 2 10s behind the striker. That gives Rashford a lot of ability to link up and play off with Bruno. Get the link up play with Fernandes and Xerxes and see how we can manoeuvre. And that creates a lot of options for that front three. And to see 2 goals a piece for Xerxes and Rashford, 2 assists for Ahmad, two assists for Fernandez. We might be building a way of getting the best out of his front four, and he may even, he's not playing. He's spoken a lot about Mason Mount and getting the best out of him in terms of, in this system, he believes he can play 2 to 3 positions. It's looking relatively good. It wasn't the best start with the Ipswich draw, got better in Europe after a minor blip, and now it's continuously getting better. Yes, Everton away isn't always going to be, at home isn't always going to be the hardest opposition, but you have to beat who's in front of you, and that's what they did. The next step, and the biggest step, is what they're going to do against Arsenal. Can they get the victory against Arsenal? Can they get a positive result against Arsenal to build momentum? Because it's starting to seem like the team is falling in place. I'm looking at this team and it's starting to make a little bit more sense than what I was seeing under the likes of Erik ten Hag. And it's quite funny because one of the things I said for Man United is that change it up. You've stuck with the same 4-2-3-1 for so long. How about you adapt and move some of the pieces that you've got? I even suggested going to a 3 at the back when Erik ten Hag was there, but obviously it's not his play style, but I would have gone to that, change it up, get the best out of other players. Ahmad's able to play on that left wing position quite easily. He's got the protection of a Mainu and a Mazraoui who can offer, who can play both right back and centre back. He has that ability to support in that wider position, and if you've got the support of 2 defensively to a degree sound midfielders in Mainu and Casemiro, it gives the ability for those wing backs to actually provide that width, which Delort and Ahmad are doing. And so Man United march on till Wednesday. Arsenal versus Man United, we're going to be covering that as well. Should be a good game. Final game of today, Tottenham versus Fulham. Tottenham took a lead with Johnson. Fulham hit back with Kearney getting an equaliser, and then Kearney got himself sent off. For both teams, Fulham should be very happy with their display. To a degree, they would probably think that they should have won the game. Unfortunately, they weren't able to take their opportunities. In terms of a Tottenham perspective, yes, they got the early goal, but after that red card, you would really have hoped that they would go forward and actually, put their stamp on the game. They didn't, and they draw a game that they should potentially win. And this is why we talk about Tottenham in the way that we do. Glowing in some games, disappointing in others. But a game like this at home to Fulham, you should ideally be putting this away if you want to be in the top 4. This isn't a top 4 result for them. Fulham, on the other hand, continue to build momentum. The key thing for Fulham is to not get into a rut. Continue the momentum with getting points, whether that be draws or wins. Continue to bleed in the players like Iwobi, Smith Rowe, Nelson, Jimenez, get their chemistry flowing, because you're going to have issues keeping goals at the back of your net. I still don't know how solid their defence can be. They've got some bright sparks. Robertson, Leno had a decent season last season as well, but they need to sustain that. So where does that leave us in terms of the Premier League table? And let's first just have a review of the fixtures this weekend. We had the 1-1 draw between Brighton and Southampton, the 4-1 win for Brentford against Leicester, the draw between Palace and Newcastle, Forest beat Ipswich, Wolves lost to Bournemouth, Arsenal beat West Ham emphatically, Chelsea, as we've covered, beat Aston Villa, Man United beat Everton, a draw between Tottenham and Fulham, and as we first covered, Liverpool run out 2-0 winners versus Man City. That leaves us with Liverpool at the top of the table, a 9-point gap between them and Arsenal and Chelsea. They're looking strong, only team to concede less than 10 goals. Also, joint top goal scorers with Arsenal and Chelsea. It's looking pretty good. Behind them, we've got Brighton and Man City, with Forest just behind. And then at the bottom of the table, Southampton, Ipswich and Wolves are joined by Crystal Palace and Leicester at the bottom of the table. Guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Please make sure to leave a like at the bottom of the page. Please make sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe. I will catch you guys soon. Peace.